In today's video, we are going to create a bare bones version of Windows 11. No bloatware, no telemetry, no third-party apps, and you can do this if you're already on Windows 11. You can do this if you're going from Windows 10 to Windows 11. You can even do this on unsupported hardware. Let's get into it. Okay, I've done these videos in the past, and for this particular video, I've done a version of it as well. However, as one of my viewers let me know in the comments, the tool has changed since my last video, so I wanted to do an update. We are going to use an XML file. It's not as bad as it sounds, bear with me. We will create a Windows 11 media installation flash drive using one of these, and then we'll create an XML file that will set up Windows 11 for us unattended without all of the third-party garbage that Microsoft includes. And if you stick around after the installation, I'll show you how to mass install some software on there without having to individually set up each program. This is a clean installation, so if you have any data files that you need to save, you might want to back those up before you continue. This is going to be a long one, so I'm going to put chapters down below so you can skip around. But I must give you this warning, just like all of my other videos, try this at your own risk. I'm just showing you how I perform these tasks. If you choose to give it a shot, you're an adult, make good decisions. We're going to jump right in right after a word from today's sponsor.
Are you using an unregistered version of Windows 11? Then you need to check out keysfan.com. Keysfan offers a wide range of products including Windows 11, Windows 10, and even older versions like
Windows 7.
Need Office software? They got you covered with keys for Office 2019 and Office 2021. And here's the best part. You can save big with exclusive coupon codes by using my code RK250 to get 50% off all Windows series. That means you can get Windows 11 Pro for less than $20. But wait, there's more. For Microsoft Office, use my code RK262 to get a massive 62% off. Buying is super easy. Just add your chosen product key to your cart, apply the coupon code, and pay securely via PayPal or credit card. You'll receive your genuine activation key in no time. Once you have your product key, go back to the activation page, click on Change Product Key, enter the product key you just purchased, and click Activate. Be sure to check out keysfan.com.
Real quick, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out tremendously, and it gets my videos out to more people. Thank you, and let's get back to the video. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do from a browser of your choosing is go to this XML site generator. I'm going to put the link to this website in the description. All right, then from this site, we are simply going to fill in the information that we need for our installation. It can seem like quite a bit of information, but once we get this form filled out and create our XML file, we will have a nice, clean, and bare bones Windows 11 installation. So the first things first, we're going to make our language selection here. I'm going to leave mine at English. I'm going to leave my keyboard layout and everything else here, these language settings, I'm going to leave mine at English US. I don't need a secondary or a third language. If you do, fill out that information. My home location is the United States. I'm going to leave that as is. And I will like to also add any of this stuff that you don't select here. It will prompt you during the installation and then it's no longer unattended. My goal is to, once I've created this document and added it to my installation drive, that Windows will set itself up from start to finish without me having to interact with the installation at all. You need to select your process architecture here. Although this has 32-bit here listed, this will not apply for a Windows 11 installation. It only supports 64-bit. For me, that's Intel AMD 64-bit. All right, this next section relates to those hardware requirements checks that Windows does, and we can bypass those here just like we've done using many other tools in my videos. And now this computer that I'm doing this on actually does not pass all of the Windows 11 checks. So I'm going to go ahead and use the bypass methods. Now this next one is allow Windows 11 to be installed without internet connection. But only actually check this box if you truly do not have internet access, because again, this is going to prompt you to click the I don't have internet button during the Windows setup if you do that. And again, I want mine to be completely unattended, so I'm not going to check that box. The next option is to use a distribution share configuration. This does not apply in my situation. For the next one, it gives you the option to hide any PowerShell windows during the Windows setup. I'm going to go ahead and check this box to hide any PowerShell windows during the Windows setup. I don't want anything that could potentially fail and then cause this to be an attended installation where I have to go in there and make some selections. For the next one is name our computer. You can let Windows create a generic name, or you can create a name yourself. I'm just going to let Windows create a generic name. Next is to let Windows decide whether to use Compact OS or use Compact OS or do not use Compact OS. I typically select the option to do not use Compact OS. It's really not necessary unless you have a very small hard drive and you need the installation files compressed. I'm going to keep it on do not use Compact OS. The next is time zone. I'm going to let Windows determine that. The next is partitioning and formatting. The first option, if you select that, then again, this won't be completely unattended because you'll have to make those selections during installation as far as which drive to set up Windows on, etc. But that is also the safer option if you are not sure, because if you let Windows set up white partition and format your drive, it's going to assume that any disk labeled disk 0 is the main operating system disk, and it's going to wipe and format that drive and load Windows. If you have more than one drive and drive 0 happens to be a backup drive or something to that effect, you'll end up losing all of your data that you've backed up, because this is going to assume that drive 0 is the main partition where Windows needs to be installed. This isn't an issue for me because this particular computer only has one hard drive, and I'm okay with it formatting that drive and installing Windows there. Again, I need to stress, use this at your own risk. If you choose the wrong option here and you end up wiping out a backup drive that you had, that is a clear possibility. I'm going to let Windows do it. Automatically selected the GPT for me. The next, it wants you to choose how to install the Windows recovery environment. I'm going to keep the first option here, which will create a separate partition for the recovery environment. And according to this note down here, Windows 24H2 seems to ignore that anyway and always creates a separate recovery partition, so works out for me. You can also use a custom script to configure your drives. I'm not going to do that here in this video. Again, I just have the one drive, and I don't have multiple partitions on there or anything fancy. This next one here has the default already selected based on the above, so I'm going to leave that there. And here it's telling you basically what I was mentioning above. When you let Windows Setup partition your disk unattendedly, there is a risk they were assigned unexpected index numbers. In rare cases, disk 0 does not refer to your primary hard drive, but rather your USB thumb drive. You can therefore provide VB script code to check the assigned disk index, hence asserting that what you think is disk 0 matches what Windows Setup thinks it is. If your script returns blah blah blah, Windows Setup will halt to avoid data loss. I'm going to keep this at do not run a script. They are actually saying that the thumb drive that we're using to install Windows 11 could potentially be assigned as drive 0. It does say that is in rare instances. I've not had that happen to me. I'm going to roll with the do not run a script. You should proceed at your own risk. Next is the Windows Edition. So the first option is to use a generic product key. Such a key can be used to install Windows, but will not activate it. You can change the product key later. Install this edition of Windows, and it has the different options here of how to enter your product key. I'm going to go down here to the bottom to use the product key stored in BIOS UEFI firmware. Choose this if your computer came pre-installed with Windows and you want to reuse that license. In my case, this particular desktop did come pre-installed with Windows 10 Pro, so the embedded product key is the one that I want to use. If you had to visit today's sponsor and purchase a product key, then you would not use that option. You have a couple of choices. You can enter the product key here to keep it unattended, or you can manually enter the product key when it prompts you during the Windows setup here, or you could do the first options where it will just use a generic product key to get through the installation, but then it won't be activated. You'll have to later activate your copy of Windows, which you could also do the setup and then go purchase you a Windows XP key and then enter it at that point. You got a bunch of options here. I'm going to go with the last option specific to my setup. Now, source image, it says select image according to the product key. I'm going to go with this option because my product key will match Windows 11 Pro that I'm installing. Or you can tell it to select a specific image. This is really only going to apply. Someone was actually asking me this in the comments the other day, whereas they wanted to do the upgrade method that the video referred to. However, that method would only allow them to download Windows 11 Home, but they had a Windows Pro product key that they wanted to use instead. If that person happens to be watching this video, here you go. Select image according to that Pro product key. This next section deals with Windows PE operation, which is the pre-installation environment. And that is essentially a lightweight version of Windows used for troubleshooting. If you need to recover Windows from a flash drive, that is a pre-installation environment. If you've ever seen any of my videos on Hiren's boot CD, that is a pre-installation environment used for troubleshooting. I'm going to let Windows Setup handle the Windows PE stage as usual. So let's scroll down here to the next. User accounts. Let Windows Setup and create the following local offline accounts. And it tells you here to leave the display name empty unless you want it to be different from account name, like admin or user. Next, we go to the first logon. Several settings will only be applied when an administrator logs on for the first time. You should therefore let Windows log you onto an administrator account once. This does not affect subsequent logons. Choose which account to use for this. Log on to the first administrator account created above, which is what I'm going to do, or you can activate built-in account administrator and log into this account. Set its password to whatever you set it to, or do not log on. The installation ends with the sign-in screen being shown. I'm going to go with the first option here. If you created any passwords in the above steps and you want to obscure all account passwords in your auto-unattended.xml file, check that button. If you are one of the very few unfortunate people that want a Microsoft account, you can add a Microsoft account online user account interactively during the Windows setup. Then again, this will not be unattended because you will have to enter your Microsoft account information as part of the setup process. Next, add a local offline user account interactively during Windows setup. We don't want to do that either because I'm going to allow this to create one for me and keep it unattended. Password expiration. Passwords do not expire, or you can choose another option here, which I'm going to keep it at do not expire, and the settings only apply to local accounts. Account lockout policy. I'm going to use the default policy of 10 failed attempts within 10 minutes. You can disable the policy, but you kind of leave your computer vulnerable there for brute force attacks, so I would not do that. And you can use a custom policy here and decide the number of attempts and the time to wait after attempts. All that fun stuff. I'm going with the default. File Explorer tweaks. Choose which files are hidden in File Explorer. If you go with the default, all of the hidden files will stay hidden as usual until you unhide them. You have a second option here to hide protected operating system files. This will only have files that have both the hidden and the system attributes set, or you can go with show all files. I'm going to use the default settings and keep those hidden. I know where they're hiding at. They can't hide from me, so if I need them, I will go get them. Always show file extensions. By default, Explorer would hide extensions for known file types. I'm going to select that because I want to see all of my file extensions. You can check this button here if you want to use the classic context, the right-click menu in Windows 11. You can check this option if you want File Explorer to open up to this PC instead of quick access, which I think I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to use the classic context right-click menu. Again, these are preferences. You don't have to do that. And I'm going to check this box to show the end task command in the taskbar. Okay. Choose how to display the search box in the taskbar. This is the full one, or you can have the little one here, or this one, or hide it completely. I want to keep it with this one. Choose icons to display in the taskbar. Use the default. Remove all icons. Configure icons using an XML file. I'm going to select remove all icons. Disable widgets. This hides the news and weather widget in the lower left corner in Windows 11. Only select this if you are sure you don't want any of those widgets like news and weather. Left align the taskbar in Windows 11 because that's what us normal folks do. Put it over there to the left where it belongs instead of in the center. Hide the task view button from the taskbar. I'm not going to select that. Always show all tray icons. I'm not going to select that either. Do not show Bing results when searching in the start menu or the search box. I'm definitely going to create that. These next options apply only to Windows 10. I'm going to skip past that. This is as it relates to the pins in the start menu, and if you use the default pins, it says to avoid this setting if you select apps in the remove bloatware section below, as Windows 11 will deceptively retain their pins in the start menu. Microsoft using deception? No way. I'm going to select remove all pins because I don't want any of those pins there. I'll pin my own stuff at a later date. I'm going to skip that. System tweaks, disable Windows Defender. I do not recommend disabling Windows Defender unless you have a specific purpose for that. Disable Windows Updates. This will create a scheduled task named Pause Windows Update that pauses updates for 1 week again and again. If you want to run Windows Update for once, click Resume Updates in Settings. If you want to enable Windows Update permanently, disable or delete that task. So essentially with this, you can have it indefinitely pause updates until you are ready to go get one. I'm actually going to click that here. Don't do that if you are not good at going back and getting Windows updates when you need them, because then this will also pause critical and security updates. Disable user account control. I'm not going to disable that for security reasons. I want to be prompted before a program tries to install on my system. Disable Smart App Control. This turns Smart App Control off in Windows 11. Note that you will not be able to turn it back on. I'm going to leave that unchecked. Disable Smart Screen in Windows and Edge. I'm going to check that one. I'm not going to disable Fast Startup. I'm not going to disable my system protection or restore. I am going to enable long paths. For me personally, I'm going to enable remote desktop services. From there, I'm going to skip down a little bit. For the Disable App Suggestion Content Delivery Manager, I'm going to select this. If you want to prevent device encryption, you can. Windows 11 would otherwise enable BitLocker encryption automatically. I never allow Windows to do that automatically. I've been in a situation before with the hard drive that Windows enabled BitLocker encryption automatically, and I did not have the encryption key, and I had to wipe the hard drive. Hide the Edge first run experience. That's when you first log in and go to load Edge and it gives you all this crap and you're like, skip. No, I don't want to, and it still does it like 10 more times. Disable Edge startup, boost, and background mode. I'm disabling anything Edge related. Here is the next one. Make Edge uninstallable. This is in beta. This will modify this long file name here such that Edge can be uninstalled even outside the European Economic Area. Warning, this setting tends to cause problem with Windows Update. Use at your own risk. I'm going to skip that for now. For visual effects, I'm going to use the default settings chosen by Windows. If you want to go in here and manually adjust visual effects, feel free to do so. I am not going to. Desktop icons, you can tell it to show the default desktop icons, or you can pick some of these to have as your default desktop icons. And I'm going to recycle bin, of course, the home button, this PC, and that's really it for me. Make your selections. Folders on start. Show default folders on start next to the power button. Or you can select the folders here, specific ones that you want it to show. And this setting has no effect on Windows 10. On Windows 11, the folders will appear on the start menu as follows. You can see all that right there in their little example picture. Virtual machine support. This is specific to you. I'm going to select Install Oracle VirtualBox Guest Editions because I in fact do use that. For the next one, your Wi-Fi setup, you can configure Wi-Fi interactively during the Windows setup, but then again, this will not be unattended. You'll have to set up those sections during the setup process. I'm going to skip Wi-Fi configuration because I am plugged in to a wired connection at the moment, so I don't need that. You can also enter your Wi-Fi settings here manually. That way this will continue to be unattended and you don't have to do this during the setup process. If you do use this option here to configure using these settings, it goes on to tell you that you should not enter your actual Wi-Fi password here. Once you've downloaded this unattended file we're creating, then you'll find the password enclosed in key material, and adjust it. Or you can use an additional XML. Okay, under Express Settings, disable all. Windows will not send diagnostic data, personalized input, or your location history to Microsoft. Choose this if you value your privacy. So I guess if you do not value your privacy, feel free to check the rest of them. I do value mine, so I'm going to leave disable all. Lock key settings for this, I'm going to use the default for Windows, and that's your caps lock, num lock, scroll lock. If you want to modify that, I'm not going to. Sticky keys, I'm going to leave the default settings here. Personalization settings, these settings are particularly useful if you want to use Windows without activation when the personalization setting page is not available. So basically, if you're still running an unlicensed copy of Windows and you can't change your desktop because of that, this here will allow you to make some adjustments. I recommend go check out the sponsor, spend 15 bucks, get a licensed copy of Windows. What are we doing, people? But if that's your thing, this is in beta, keep that in mind. Desktop wallpaper, I'm going to use the default settings. Lock screen image, use default lock screen image. Provide a Windows PowerShell script to load the lock screen image. I'm just going to leave that at the default. Here is when we get into the fun stuff. This is where we remove all of that bloatware on the PC that Windows automatically installs and we don't want. Now, caution. Go through this list and see if there is anything on here that you need and want to keep. Don't be like me and do this. I'm going to select all. I'm going to let it remove everything. That includes the calculator, the clock, all of it. That's going to get rid of my notepad. That's going to get rid of OneDrive. That's going to remove everything. Paint, photos. If you need some of that stuff on here, do not remove it. Better yet, select all and then come through here and unselect some of the things you want to keep. Tell you what, I'm going to keep photos. Let's keep something. I'll keep photos. I'll keep the calculator. How about that? So when we go back and look at this after the installation, we can say, hey, look, there's the photos and the calculator that you kept. What the heck? Let's throw in the clock too. Look at all this recall, all this junk, all of it. You know what? I'm going to keep notepad too. Let's live dangerously. Okay, I'm going to keep photos, notepad, clock, and calculator. Everything else can kick rocks. Bloatware removal works best with the original Windows 10 and 11 ISO images downloaded from Microsoft. I did not perform any tests with custom images, and that's okay because I never use any modified images. We always go download the ISO directly from Microsoft, and that's what we're going to do today as well. If you want to run any custom scripts, here's where you can do that. I am not going to do that. I'm going to skip down, and I'm going to keep skipping, and I'm going to keep skipping, and I'm going to keep skipping. Okay, Windows Defender. Do not configure WDAC policy. Windows Defender application control. I'm going to leave this at the default of do not configure. This next section, XML markup for more components. I'm going to skip this as well. You can add additional items in here that wasn't covered under this generator. We're going to skip past that. Download settings. Use file name not auto-unattend.xml rather than auto-unattend.xml. Windows Setup will not process the not auto file, so no, we're not going to do that. All right, and now that we are complete, I'm just going to use this third option here that says download.xml file. That file will end up in our downloads folder. So if I come over here to my downloads folder, we can see our auto-unattended file there. So next, we just need to go create our Windows installation media. So we're going to go to download Windows 11. Okay, and from our download Windows 11 screen, we're going to go to create Windows 11 installation media. I'm going to go ahead and click download now. All right, I can close that out. And in our downloads folder, we will have both the media creation tool and the auto-unattend XML file. So I'm going to go ahead and run the media creation tool, making sure that your flash drive is plugged into the computer, by the way. I'm going to accept the software license. I'm going to uncheck this box just because we selected options in our XML file. I'm going to click next. I have my flash drive inserted that has at least 8 gigabytes, and then I'm going to click next. It is confirming my only flash drive here, which is correct. And then we'll go next. This will take a moment. Once it's completed creating the drive, we'll pick back up. All right, now that our flash drive is ready, I'm going to go ahead and click finish. Okay, and you can see if I go to this PC, we have the flash drive here that we created, but I'm going to go back to downloads, and I'm going to get the unattended file that we created. I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to paste it right into the flash drive. with my setup files. Just going to paste, and that's it. And that's all we have to do. I'm going to close that out. Now we need to reboot from the flash drive to start the Windows installation. I'm on a Dell computer. For me, that's going to be F12. I'll put up a graphic here for some of the more common ones. If you don't see yours, you'll just have to Google it. But I'm going to go ahead and restart now, and we'll begin the installation process. I'm going to hit my F12 key, which is going to bring me here to my boot menu. I'm going to come down here and select my PNY USB 3.0, and I'm going to press enter. As you can see here, the installation process has begun, and if it goes smoothly, I won't have to do anything. It'll just go from start to finish, and once it's completed, we'll be in Windows 11. That's the point of the unattended file, for us to not have to attend this. I could get up and walk away and come back, it should be done. I will speed up this setup so that you can see it run through the process, and hopefully we won't have to do anything. Our installation has completed, and as you can see, if you watched through the installation process, I never had to make a single input for anything. It was truly unattended from start to finish once I started the process. And so let's just go in here and see if it did some of the things we asked it to do. We can see that our Windows 11 start menu is to the left. We can see that there's not a whole lot of icons and stuff down here. If I click on my start menu, look at this, there are no pinned apps. We have the notepad, which I did tell it to keep, and then there's the Get Started and the Microsoft Store. If we go over here to All Apps, we have Accessibility, the calculator and clock, which I told it to keep, and some other things on here that we were not given an option to remove, but it's very few. Look at this, there's just nothing on here. The Microsoft Store, settings. This Waves Max Audio and Max Audio Pro were probably related to my sound driver, so that was probably automatically downloaded. Okay, let's see. So that is really cool. This is a bare bones, stripped down version of Windows. No third-party apps, no junk. But now, we need some software. And you can see these icons on the desktop, the home, this PC, and the recycle bin are all ones that I chose. So instead of having to install all of my software programs one by one, I'm going to come right here to getsparkle.net. This is an optimization tool that I featured in a previous video, but it allows us to download a bunch of these software programs that we use in a package, and then it will install all of it for us. So I'm going to download Sparkle. If you want more information about this Sparkle app, you can watch my last video. I'm going to select the installer. Edge is going to warn me that Sparkle could harm my device, but it's not near as much harm as Edge does, so I'm okay with it. I'm going to close out that Edge browser as quick as I can. I'm going to come over here to my downloads, and I'm going to run Sparkle. I'm not going to go through this entire app. Like I said, you can watch that previous video, but I just want to get some software installed on here. So starting with browsers, I'm going to download Chrome, Brave, see if there's anything else on here that I need. Communication. I don't need any of this right now. There's a ton of programs on here that you can download. If you play games, you got your Epic, your Battle.net. I'm going to go ahead and download ShareX because I do need to take some screenshots. I'm not going to pick a whole bunch of software right now. Just wanted to show you, you can come here and grab some stuff in a package. I'm going to go ahead and click Install Selected. And you can see it's installing Google Chrome 1 of 3. And this is just faster than navigating around to each individual website and downloading and then installing. It doesn't have everything on here. If you want to use a packager that does have most everything, you can check out the video that I did on Winstall. Winstall works similar to this, but it has a lot bigger library. I'll fast forward to this software is completed. It says that operation is completed successfully, so if I close this out, I should in fact have Google Chrome, ShareX, and Brave installed, which I do. Now, one thing that I do want to do is come over here to Windows Updates, because undoubtedly someone will comment that this was all a waste of time because Windows Update will bring everything back. That is true, but only for major version updates that come out every 2 years. Like right now we are currently on 2.4H2. When the 2.5H2 version releases in December, it will bring a lot of this stuff back and we'll have to come in here and remove it, but then we're good again for the next 2 years. If you download 2.5H2 when it comes out in December. But the standard monthly updates will not bring back all of the software and stuff we removed. But let's just go ahead and do it because somebody will say. All right, notice how my updates are paused for a week here, and that XML file did that for us, and in a week it'll renew and it'll pause updates for another week. I'm gonna click resume updates, and here's what it's downloaded. So security intelligence update, cumulative update for net framework, cumulative update for Windows 11, 2.4H2, Windows malicious software removal tool, update for Windows security, Dell, these are our hardware drivers. So I do not see any of the software that we removed trying to come back based on an update. But we will let all of these updates complete. We will reboot and then we will come back and look. I'm gonna go ahead and pause here and we'll pick back up when all of the downloads are complete. All right, all of our updates are complete and you can see that our start menu and our taskbar and everything is still the same. All of those pinned apps are still gone. All of the apps that we had removed are still gone. Some of this stuff is obviously graphics related to the drivers, but not the stuff that we told it to remove. That's gone still. And I will show you that we are up to date. Let's go look at updates. Of course, I have to unpause. And my computer is up to date. Did not bring back any of the garbage, and it won't until I download 2.5H2. All right, this video was long enough. That's it. And there you have it, a bare bones bloat-free version of Windows 11 that you can make your own. Will you give this method a try? Drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Also, drop me a comment if you have any other video suggestions. And do me a favor, please like and share the video, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Subscribing to the channel is free to you, and it helps me grow the channel so I can get my videos out to more people. Be sure to check out some of these other video suggestions, and as always, thank you for watching, and until next time.